Hey, hey. Let's continue where we last left off. There's a few things I want to do before going to Malik's Bastion. Most of that having to do with going through a lot of the early parts of the game with newfound powers. For example, there's a couple of spots with boulders I couldn't move before that I now can because I have the enhanced strength, and there's also some fences in the graveyard that I can jump over as a werewolf. Now you can see how the mace works, basically. Well, that was poor technique. There. After the strike, the twirl, stuns them and makes it like you only need 2 strikes to make a mortal basically stagger, and you can feed on them. This was a safe spot. Though the downside of it, of course, is that you're only doing 2 strikes, and if you are fighting against monsters that you don't want to be feeding off of, it's basically a waste. You could be making 4 strikes with your regular iron sword, and that's basically why this is a utility kind of weapon. It's built for this one purpose, to stun mortals, but that's what you get, and that's a good way to keep the earlier weapons still like relevant. Okay. To keep them still relevant, so that when you're fighting against bosses, for example. Oh, whoa, shit. It's much better to grab the iron sword. Sometimes, it's absolutely necessary. Oh yeah, of course. I've gotten the stuff from there. First brown boulders that I could always push, but here's a couple of gray ones. So let's see. That's 1, and that's a 2, and that opened a door here.
A medley of death and evisceration. Let fate choose my enemy's demise.
Yeah, that's a good item. It's basically a deck of tarot cards that Kane tosses over his head, and minor enemies on the screen basically die with random effects from some of my basic offensive items. Like some of them get the chunks of flesh exploded off of them, while some melt into that acidic goo. Oh shit! No, did I make a horrible mistake? No! Oh god, maybe if I return to this room I'll get that, because Hearts of Darkness are incredibly valuable. Well, let's see. Nosgoth's Blood Script. Okay, I think that's just flavor. Yeah. But this is again something I said about puzzles. Me and puzzles, we don't mix well. So even with an easy one like that, I immediately screw it up. Let's see. Ah, thank God. Oh. Yeah. Well, the thing is that I sometimes, I once read online that this game was categorized as sort of difficult or semi-difficult, and I really don't agree with that. I think this is okay. Somewhere something opened. think this game is mainly, like, generally a pretty easy game. The only thing is that if you basically, I guess if you don't, it wouldn't use your items or damn it, I have no idea where something opened because of that. Let's first peek back just in case. I don't know if it loads these screens in a way where I don't think it opened anything here, no way. Just kind of wasting time, I guess. But yeah, let's see, because like I said before about this game having a lot of secrets and things like that, and yeah, now I'm gonna go outside, so it's basically, yeah, I'm sure somewhere online the answer would be found, like, what does that thing actually open? But let's see now. Now that I got those items, now I want to go and do some shenanigans as a werewolf, now that I can leap over these fences. There's a building right there, a crypt, that's gonna take me maybe there, I don't know. And another thing, later on you get a mist form, and when you're in the mist form you can walk on water without it harming you, so a lot of these rivers also lead to new secret locations. But let's just focus on one thing at a time. Zombies! Let's just run past them. Okay. Well, you can see there's just a teleporter in here. Oh, something open somewhere. Okay. Oh. Well, that's nice. You know, you don't even need the wolf form to just evade folks. I mean, that's sometimes with, even with Soul Reaver, I mean, there's one criticism I've heard every now and again about it is that there's a lot of spots where there's a zero-sum game in fighting a lot of the enemies, where a lot of the enemies are just ones that you can just run past and just continue on with the game and stuff. I guess you're cheating yourself out of some fun, because the monster killing is supposed to be fun, you know? But then again, you know, if the game incentivizes you into saving your items, saving your blood, saving your mana and all that, you know, fighting monsters isn't always a smart choice. I don't know if I want to go to basically do the rinse and repeat thing here with the shurikens. I don't think I need them in Malek's Bastion yet. I need them after a couple of locations of interest after that. But I already have a bunch. I think I'm gonna go here, because here next to this village there were a couple of locations where not having the mace was restricting my progress. And now that I have it, I am invincible. But yeah, there's like armored soldiers here, and you can see how well the mace deals with. I keep singing the mace's praises, and then I keep being a clumsy klutz with it. But yeah, there were a couple of boulders. No, it wasn't one of those giant boulders I was thinking. Okay, so this area is still locked off from me, but there's that cave where there were the demon statues blocking my path. I'm gonna go there, I'm gonna break down the demon statue and see what goodies lie behind that. And then I think I'm gonna just start progressing in the game. This sort of backtracking and stuff while it is, of course. Oh, like there's a choir going on. Yeah, those shrinking spells. Come on, where are the goodies at? Give me some of them goodies. Is this some... Well, I remembered this place quite wrong. I remember that it was going to be like something a lot bigger, where I would have encountered a lot more obstacles that I could later go through. Well, I'm not going to be returning here. Well, I guess I'll leave some of these people, because you never know. I think I'm going to go... Let's just keep getting north, because north was the direction I need to go to. Malik Sebastian is up north. If you turn into your back form and see... Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Oh! For example, here, this is like a really big, like, open space for you to... Well, there's the bridge cutting your path, but I'm sure if you turn into mist and walk past right over there to the left, you're gonna get somewhere where you can, like, land again, you know, and find some goodies. I'm gonna go past this place. Yeah, this is that place that led to Not Practor's place, so most likely north is where I need to go next. And I can't recall whether or not it was being blocked by those stones that I can now break. Yeah. And hello, new content. Such a modern way of expressing myself. Let's see. There's a cave, and then there's a town of sorts ahead. Well, shit. And even with the mace, it's like, it's important that the second strike hit them, because that's the stunning one. I think, like, if you look... I think there might be something like a couple of links of chain between the shaft and the ball of the mace that gets, like, loosened up or something for it to make that twirl. I'm not sure, but... this makes me so happy. Because, now look, I have 24 Hearts of Darkness. As long as I don't, like, spend them willy-nilly whenever I feel like, I might need some more health. Because I think that's what a beginner player would imagine these being for. These are basically life insurance policies, these Hearts of Darkness, that for 24 times I can be basically killed now, and I will be brought back with a little bit of health. And when that happens, I can just either just try my best to escape, or if everything else fails, I have the Sanctuary spell to transport myself back into my home crypt, and I'll be safe, but I'll have to make the trek again wherever that place was that I escaped from. And yeah, I have 62 flays, the shurikens, so I'm armed and dangerous. Let's see what's in here.
The blood of ages flows so sweet. Come, drink from it. Your magic energy recovers more quickly, for our blood enhances.
That's very good, because I love being in different forms and shapes, and they all drain your magic.
Years ago, word reached us of a strange pestilence that had laid siege to a few remote villages far east. But the rumors failed to prepare us for the horror that was the plague.
That's a little too low. Just adjusting the volume a little bit. But yeah. Oh!
Worms and maggots fed upon his festering skin. The scent of tainted blood seeped through the wounds upon which they feasted. Pity. Such a waste. Good blood gone bad.
Yes, indeed. Kane's #1 concern.
Copenhagen, my home. The finest city in all of Nosgoth, rich in vanity and conceit. I have no delusions as to the welcome I would receive.
Copenhagen. Weary traveler from distant Copenhagen. But yeah. Plague, pestilence. Oh, no, that's a big ass cart full of bring out your dead corpses. I think this is one of those towns where it's gonna be a little bit of a maze. The place I dislike in this game the most is a future location where it's another town that operates kind of like a maze, but it's so filled with like such deadly enemies that it's no fun at all. But this place, I'm sure it's going to be filled with those Pied Pipers who summon zombies. And for that reason, I think I'm going to change up my weaponry. I'm going to go back to my sword because I'm not going to be stunning these guys. And I also think that, especially now that my magic is recharging faster, I'm going to be using a lot of the...
Death and disease stalked these streets. Bodies lay, most in the very spots in which fate had taken them. The perfect homecoming.
Oh, just regular folks walking around. Oh, by the way, I want to try out the, last time, before I learned this transformation power, the lunatic who was delighted to see me mentioned that people want to speak to you if you know how to look, and it's completely useless. Talk to me, tell me your name.
'Tis the plague, my lord. It eats in our bodies. There is no hope. Bring out your dead. Bring out your dead.
Should have known.
Be gone, good sir, lest you share our fate.
basically that. It's flavor. Flavor. I'm sure there are spots where somebody says something that's actually useful, but mostly it's gonna be just that. Oh, there you go. Just walking around, just right next to the locals. I have no idea which buildings basically lead me to other buildings, so let's just go in some sort of order that I can remember. Okay. Oh, thank you. Of course, enemies respawning outdoors. Or everywhere. Pied Pipers are back, of course, as well. So, oh, excellent. Always happy to eliminate these kind of directions where it gives me multiple directions. And is there anything of interest here? No. Oh, you're boxing me in. You don't box me in. Nobody does. Well, I kind of sacrificed a little bit of health there. That wasn't smart, but... Oh, nice. This is a dungeon where I learn a protective shield spell. It's basically something where I put on a magic shield, and it deflects all missile attacks. It won't deflect melee. Oh, damn! Mortals everywhere. I'll grab that mace right back. I'll gladly feast on your blood with more ease. It's no wonder that this place seems to be full of projectiles. But for example, whoa, 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 whoa. Now that was nice. But yeah, it's for example, those orange fiend creatures who are annoying. It's really nice to have that protective shield against them. Although the number one place to use it is against certain bosses. For example, Malik shoots projectiles, and it's a big help. It's a big help to have that against him. Man, does that make you feel strong or what? You pathetic peasants. Stink of the fields. Whoa. See, that's a problem also that if they're stunned and you hit them with the first strike again, they come out of their stunned Okay. Now we're dealing with skeletons. So mace is not the optimal choice here. Oh! Same drill as before, please. Oh, shit! Some blood, please. Blood. God damn it. I will help you right out of your misery. God damn it. Eat lightning. Wow. That's like my number one, like, Achilles heel, impatience.
Invoking this spell cloaks me under a protected aegis. Whatever spell is cast at me will be reflected back at the caster, leaving me unharmed. It will only last for a short time, however, before leaving me vulnerable once more.
Yeah. It's, that leads nowhere. I'm not gonna even bother with it. Feed it. Oh, shit. Hell. Okay, game. You want me to use this clearly? Let's use it. Under this bubble, I can just go around willy-nilly, but it's gonna last as long as my magic. Well, no, actually it does fade away on its own. I misremembered that one. Okay, now I came out here, so there's again 3 doors to go to. Let's do those in order, but I'm gonna equip this. I'm not gonna. No, actually, I'm gonna equip the shurikens. I'm not gonna screw around because yeah, well, fuck yeah. The annoying bit is gonna be that once I come out of these buildings, those guys are gonna be there waiting. But that's something that's a thing in video games and in like Dungeons and Dragons games or something. There are places where instead of fighting enemies that are, out to kill you, their main purpose might be just to drain your resources. Creatures that destroy your gear, creatures that force you to use, some of your perishables like potions and stuff, holy waters and things like that, and their reason for existence is just to kind of make you more desperate because you're running out of precious gear. Let's just quickly look. No, there's nothing there. And, that's like a classic dungeon. Ooh, these are... Ooh, whoa, sure. The brown kind of masked him so clear into the wooden floor background that I kind of missed him. But yeah, mortals once again, so that means blood. These guys thankfully do their book attack so slowly that it's quite easy to nail them with the mace. Ooh, I can already see. Gonna get me a bone armor. The bone armor isn't one of my favorites. I really like how it looks, but the bone armor's main thing is that like very minor undead, meaning basically just skeletons. The one type of skeleton are the ones who have a sword and shield, that they won't attack you before you go and attack them first, you know. And that's a very, very minor thing to get. So this is not like a big yippee kind of moment, except of course I'm fighting those specific kind of skeletons in this dungeon because, you know, they want to make the point of, oh, wouldn't you like to use the bone armor here? But I don't think the bone armor has really downsides. I don't think it has downsides to where the iron armor would be better. I mean, I'm sure that there's some sort of statistics out there. Oh, it's some sort of shadow creature. I'm sure that the iron armor has something to it. Kane said himself that it's like it protects him from fire, but I don't know if there's any like actual mechanic to where fire damage is lessened if you're wearing the iron armor or anything like that. I don't know if the iron armor is tougher or anything like that. But it's basically the classic look for Kane in this game. They victus indeed. Do not evict us. But I just think that let's take this just in case. I just think that it's always fun to kind of see who the hell are you? I didn't even know who he was. It was just some Dracula-looking guy in the corner. It's like, let's just be sure. Shoot him with lightning. But yeah, of course, he's an enemy. But likely some sort of a creature who summons something else. I can't recall right now. But if I have the opportunity to kill them before they get a chance to harm me, I'm taking that opportunity. Those poor unfortunate souls. Oh! I hate those guys. Okay, this door is closed, so we can go down here. Yes. Hearts of darkness. Oh, you can just walk past the spikes, can you? Oh, good for ye. Yeah, because those spikes are actually one of the most like annoying kind of traps, because if you do wind up getting into their path, you just kind of like you like rapid fire, just like you're taking a hit every time they kind of like push into you, and it's easy to get stuck and just quickly like everything like falling apart, you know. For example, here I'd much rather just transform into a wolf and jump over these spikes than start screwing around with those spikes. Oh. It's one of those guys again. Is he gonna be at an angle? Yes. Well, in that case, he's gonna taste some shurikens because they are homing. Another one? Yeah. There you go. You don't mess with a vampire who's tossing around shurikens, do you? Ooh, everybody loves like slipping in video games, like ice and oily floors and stuff. Everybody loves that, right? I mean, I'm sure everybody, whenever they play especially old video games, when there's like a ice stage or a water stage, everybody's eyes just lit up and they're as happy as pie. Can't imagine anybody finding them annoying. Okay, let's not get too trigger happy with the shurikens. If there's energy bolts to be used. Come on now. Alright, you guys follow me. One big lump. Yeah. Soon the bone armor will be mine.
Lower forms of undead falls for deception. With the bone armor, they are not as eager to challenge you.
Well, let's see. The bone armor does look nice.
Bone armor.
Well, see, he is like a... Oh, shit! Would you look at that? He just kind of cornered me and just like jab, 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 jab. Oh, fuck off. And I kind of lost quite a bit of blood right there. That was no bueno. Well, hopefully there's gonna be some chained mortals out here. Come on now. I need some blood. Thank you. Well, that's usually if you know what you're doing, or rather if you have the patience to basically do things right, things like you rarely struggle with health, but sometimes you just make small, miscalculations, and all of a sudden a zombie is just jabbing you like you're in prison or something. It's like it's a pretty rough situation sometimes. No, you can help me. Thank you, kind sir. Your donation is appreciated. Kind sir. Kind sir. Oh. This is basically foreshadowing something. Oh. But you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna be sneaky, and I'm gonna go and leap over those spikes with the because I want that. That's precious to me. Yeah, that Dracula-looking guy, he basically summoned those shadow creatures, and they basically provide him with cover, because I was like blasting away with the energy bolt, and those shadows were taking the hits. It's kind of like if those fiends who were shooting those projectiles, if the projectiles took the brunt of the hits first or something. Whoa, where do you keep spawning? Oh, I get it. That must be that dark gray fiend who's summoning skeletons. Oh, and that. Oh, fuck me. Yeah, when you're on slippery ground, that's what I meant with foreshadowing something earlier. You have like ice and you have spikes everywhere, and you like propel back whenever you hit the spikes, so that ice just makes you slide over. Oh shit. And this is one of those like, what spell did you just recently get? Something having to do with reflecting projectiles, you know? Might be useful here? Nah, let's just wait a little while to have my magic basically heal up, because it heals up faster now because of the blessing I got from the sanctuary place, and also I'm full of health, so it fills up fast, you know. Yeah, you know, in the last video I was talking a lot about D&D, and I still have a lot of, like, I have bottomless subjects having to do with D&D that I could talk about, but one of my favorite things that kind of like crystallized to me later on in the hobby, something that I've seen people talk about on YouTube and different places, but something that I kind of didn't realize at first that might be something that beginning DMs might also be interested in and might want to think about, is the kind of multifaceted nature of D&D or any kind of tabletop RPG. Basically the hobby having like so many different things to like about it. There's a whole bunch of different kinds of games, first of all. There's a whole bunch of different kinds of genres out there. There's a whole bunch of different kinds of settings for a specific game. Like, you could be into D&D, but already in D&D there's a whole bunch of different settings. You could really be into the kind of gothic horror kind of setting of Ravenloft, or you could be into something that's very like kind of out there, like Planescape stuff, or something that's very like Star Wars, or like you know, space opera kind of fantasy, like Treasure Island or Treasure Planet. I meant the animated feature, having to do with like Spelljammer and things like that. So even being into D&D on its own, there's a ton of things where you could be like, you're not really into the basic Faerun stuff, but you're into this specific stuff here, and that's completely fine, and that's all good. And the same thing with being into certain aspects about a game, whether it's D&D and being only into basically the combat. Like, a player might just wish a role-playing campaign was basically a collection of scenarios, kind of like old modules, these short dungeons where it's like, okay, we're in a dangerous situation, and once we solve this dungeon, it's like, it's done, and next time we gather ourselves around a table, we're in a next kind of scenario, completely like neglecting the stuff in between, all the kind of like stuff you would do just in your everyday slice of life, type of scenarios, and you could have somebody who's the exact opposite, very much into the slice of life stuff, very much into role playing, going downtown and doing shopping, making contacts with local people, and having like some sort of like noble houses, like internal politics and all sorts of power dynamics, having all sorts of like relationships with your characters, like let's say their parents, or they're like some NPCs, like some sort of a servant of the family, or some retainer.
Of any dangerous poisons. Quite useful with all the filth I find myself surrounded by.
Yeah, so there's basically like a an item to heal myself off of the poison condition. I mentioned last time that there's going to be a part in this game where I really want to use the shurikens, because there's enemies whose touch poisons me, and of course there's going to be an item that heals that poison, but it's still rough. I would want to avoid getting poisoned as much as humanly possible. Let's see what's... I can't recall... I think this place was mainly just... about finding loot. Yeah. Let's see. Okay. One of those chests I need to bust open with the mace. This is kind of tedious sometimes. Like you have to like change weapons and do one thing and then change your weapon and do another thing, and that's something that's going to become a lot more prevalent when I get my next weapon. It's something I'm kind of like, it's frustrating. It's a weapon that can cut down trees that are blocking your path, but between those trees there's enemies that I'd much rather use a different weapon for, so I'm constantly shifting between cutting trees with that weapon and a weapon I want to use against enemies. I'm sure that if you ran this game on PC, you know, the loading times wouldn't be as harsh, but, you know, so in that case, you know, the tedium wouldn't be so much a factor. So many shurikens. But yeah, wait. That might be some sort of a... I went to all the rooms already. That might be some sort of a... kind of like a later thing, how to get that door open. One of those kind of secret things. There was clearly like a teleporter platform behind it, so I'm sure it's one of those that transports you into the sort of secret locations, like those caves that have shut doors, you know, exactly the sort of like secret goody kind of locations, like spirit forges and places like that. Wait. Oh, it was exactly the opposite. Yeah, screw you! Yeah, this was Smithy. Wait, what? There's no, like... Huh, what did I miss? Did I miss something? No. I don't know what... Is there a house that I didn't go to? this is again, it's one of those things I keep like calling back to, like, oh, this is my favorite game and all that, but at the same time I'm constantly like, oh, you know what's super tedious about this game, you know, constantly mentioning its flaws and stuff, but I can't imagine having gone through that dungeon right there earlier that I would have to go somehow backtracking through that. I'm sure it's either one of these two locations that I somehow missed something in. I mean, there's no like secret buttons or anything like that. Because this seems like it ought to. Let's just in case, let's see if those are breakable, those statues over there. Because no. Now I'm gonna go back down and there's gonna be ghosts, so I want to use my iron sword for that. So yeah, if you can imagine me getting kind of frustrated with this kind of like backtracking and this kind of like going back and forth, and I mean, I'm sure I need to. Oh, holy Jesus! That was pathetic. That was pathetic. Well, thankfully I didn't struggle any longer with that I absolutely... Oh, man. Please forgive me. Oh, okay. Mortals. Mortals again. I could use some blood. But yeah, it's one of those things where, with the D&D stuff I was talking about, like the different kinds of tastes, that because of this hobby is so like multifaceted, that there's, you know, so many things to like about it, that it's a really welcome and good like perspective kind of thing that helps you against a lot of
This spell allows me to exploit the petty prejudices of man. Minor grievance would escalate to murderous rage, and oh, the sweet terror when the spell wore off and they saw their hands covered with their neighbor's blood.
very thematic for this game. Let's try it out. This is not a spell. I had completely forgotten the existence of this spell. Okay. I thought it was gonna be like a projectile or something. Don't mind me. Yeah, and I guess it's one of those that... What? Come on. Did I not pull that? Apparently not. This is gonna be a theme, I guess. You know? Me reading a paper that says like the answer is number 2. What is the answer? What is the answer? I can't figure it. Simplest stuff out sometimes. Oh, yeah. See, that's the thing. He has one of those huge axes, but if the twirl hits, doesn't discriminate. It doesn't matter how good you are, if you are mortal, you are mine. Yes, indeed. And now what? Okay. There's the lever. Now. Excuse me. That's how I like. That's my internal monologue every time I miss those obvious conclusions. Just. But yeah, with the perspective thing having to do with D&D, I think it's a good and sobering kind of realization to understand that you can have a table full of people who are all really into RPGs, or even have a table full of people who are all into D&D, but you can't be sure, and you can't be sure, and you need to be like okay with the idea that they might all be into very different flavors of D&D, and they might be into like very different aspects about role playing in general. You know, like you might have like a table full of players who are like, some of them are really into the sort of Guardians of the Galaxy type of hijinks and silly characters, and a lot of like quippy, sarcastic comments, and all these sorts of like light-hearted, silly things. And you might have somebody else around the table to whom those kinds of silly things are like something that, you know, sucks the wind right out of their sails. You know, really like is the exact opposite of what they like. While it might be like the other way around for somebody else, that if somebody wants something in D&D to be too serious or too dark and too brooding and too violent and things like that, it might be like a huge turn-off for them, and be like hey, I'm into D&D, I'm not into like since when did D&D become like a Saw movie or something like that? Like I often think about it like in a way of if you had people who all like movies, you know, everybody likes movies, but if you held like a movie night and you were going to be watching a single movie, you can be pretty sure that you're going to have people around the couch or whatnot who have specific tastes, who are like not into horror, or they're not into animation, Japanese animation, they're not into foreign films where you have to read subtitles, they're not into black and white films, they're not into I don't know, fuck, Jesus. Would you please just die? I'm gonna use shurikens just out of... I hate you so bad, I'm gonna use shurikens on you. Is there another guy? Yeah. Is there a third guy? No. Anybody else? Anybody else want some shurikens? Oh, okay. This dude is just like, don't mind me, I'm just doing my job. Or 2 days to retirement kind of thing. Fine. I'll let you live. Wait. I never pulled this lever, did I? No, sir, I certainly did not. Oh, Jesus. Well, this place is begging for me to use this. So... Oh, I can't use it? Okay, well then it's gonna be... Because fuck all of you. Well, he's in a straight line. I'm gonna fry his ass with an energy bolt. But yeah, sometimes, you know, this is why the kind of going back and forth with the just kind of milking the shurikens out of the spirit forge is so, I wouldn't say necessary, but something I always tend to do, because sometimes I just kind of lose my temper. I'm just like, just fucking suck on some shurikens. And I wind up, you know, being quite careless about spending when it comes to... All right. So, where is this going to transport me into? Back to the same location? Yes. Well... Oh, okay, now there's a new place opened. Well, that explains it. That's how I'm gonna go. Onward with my adventure. Thank you. Shurikens are always welcome, and so are Hearts of Darkness. But once again, I'm kind of running low on blood. Need to come up with a source to mend that. Okay, so now I'm here. Oh, thank you. What's in here? Last house before I'm out of this. Oh, it's a dungeon. Of course I can't miss what's in here, because it might be something important. Let's put on the mace. I wonder if the plague has anything to do with one of the houses having a basement where this is happening. Whatever this is. Alright. That was good. So, finally we're heading up north. To the frozen wastes. Well, not really, but Malik's Bastion is in the mountains, so that's a snow-covered kind of place. What did I just say? Termagant Forest. That's gonna become a thing for later. Cohagen. Goddamn Cohagen. Come on, Cohagen. Give these people air.
Malik's Bastion, perched defiantly on the mountaintop, black as night against the blanket of snow. What manner of man would choose a land so harsh and utterly devoid of life?
Well, we'll soon find out. Okay. Every time I get one of those kind of scenes, I got it from like the Non-Praptor's Keep as well. That's like a time where, okay, from then on I can fast travel there as a bat, but with the Non-Praptor place, there were still locations to be kind of gone through before getting to that place, so I didn't want to skip any of that. With this, it's basically a dead end. It's like, yeah, you need to fly there. So let's indeed fly there. Malix Bastion. Now you can see Napraptor's Keep is over there. That's where I am. There's Malix Bastion. There's the Pillars of Nosgoth. And later on, Dark Eden. That's the place where I need those shurikens. That's the place I've been talking about. Now this is again a dungeon where I won't be finding any other mortals other than the ones that are chained up. So there's no reason for me to hold the mace. And
Iron
also,
sword.
yeah, iron sword. And also I think I'm gonna be, let's take the flays, and I'm gonna be using the wolf form quite a bit because there's gonna be moments where I want to run past enemies. There's, if I remember correctly,
I know you are here, demon. The stench of death clings to you.
because there's a lot of locations here where you have to like get past spawning animated armors, and you have to just go and press a button to open a door, so I gladly do that as a wolf.
The interior was as cold and sterile as the snow outside, with empty suits of armor and sharp, cruel steel lining the walls. My warriors are but shadows of my skill, child.
Okay, he's gonna introduce, yeah. Yeah. They aren't tough in a way because you only need to hit them 4 times, but if you're not in a good position to do so, then they're rough. Oh. Oh, this is what I mean. Look, there's like a... Oh, see?
The towering metal structure gave birth to these wraiths. I could hazard only a guess at its function, fusing the souls of long-dead warriors to their armor so that they may do battle once again.
Indeed.
Hope to best me, Cain. Do not worry. Your challenge will not go unmet.
Yeah, like that room just now, I should have used the werewolf form in order to be able to avoid those warriors more easily. See, I'm already at half of my blood. But with the wolf form, the problem also is that he is so fast that it's very easy to miscalculate your own kind of reach and your speed and make mistakes running into spikes and stuff. So as the werewolf, you're much more easily kind of like a ricocheting. Oh Jesus! Come on, give me some blood. Okay, this is clearly one of those rooms.
Your undeath does not make you immortal, vampire.
Oh, I'm well aware of that. Oh, come on, give me some blood. Button that needs to be pressed remotely. Ah, I see. It needs to be done with haste. Oh, haste you shall receive. Oh. I want the heart of darkness. Oh, it's the point that I had to kill him? Jesus. Come on now. Well, if I do go down to like 0, it's gonna. I'm gonna use like a heart of darkness automatically, so I don't have to really worry about anything right now.
Come to slay the slayer of vampires, have you? My eyes yearned from lack of contrast. My mouth ached from want of blood. In this cold wasteland, food was scarce, and my hunger grew.
Yes, indeed.
The guards at the gate offered no resistance. They were frozen solid, and dead as they stood, their flesh welded to the cold metal of their armor.
Come on, give me some blood. I'm getting kind of tired of listening to that heartbeat sound. Okay, there's 2 locations. That's kind of annoying with the wolf form. The same button you use to go out of the menu screens is the same button you use to jump. So sometimes when I get off the menu in werewolf form, it also jumps. Okay, I think I'm gonna see. Here's what happens.
The Heart of Darkness.
It's only a little bit of blood that I get from that. Oh, Jesus! Oh, God. Again. Yeah.
The Heart of Darkness.
At least the character does the little flickering thing right after that, like being invulnerable for just a little moment.
The Heart of Darkness.
This is rough. Some of you might be cringing out there looking at somebody play this poorly, but then again, I'm very much even that little bit was so sweet. Okay. Let's see. Bye. But yeah, I'm definitely a very casual player. The only reason I'm as good as I am in this game is because I've been just as I said that I died. But just because I've been playing this ever since I was a kid, so it's not that I'm a good player, it's that I'm just quite familiar with this. I think this is gonna help me with those projectiles as well. Yeah. I think it might have been like, the intention, because I got this spell so right before this whole dungeon, oh jeez, that I should have been using this thing. Oh no. Almost like all throughout this dungeon.
A corpse held court on a tattered throne, grinning malignantly at me through blackened teeth. It is not often that a man sees his own corpse. It is a sobering experience. But I am far less interested in my own corpse than I am in yours. Prepare yourself, vampire!
Hell yeah. You say prepare yourself? Like, look at my... Oh, man. Let's see if there's... Yeah, this doorway is gonna be the one that leads onward to wherever Malik is. One of these teleporters most likely is going to lead to a save point, and I don't know if the other one leads to somewhere where I can like gear up a little bit. Hopefully it does. Yeah, there's Malik's body. At least I think it is. I know that later on when you go into the place where his soul was torn off of his flesh and placed into his armor, that skeleton that's still hanging from the chains is also going to be locatable, when you go to that place. So I don't know which one is actually Malik's body. He references this body very much like as it is his own, but then again he's wearing clothes and a crown and boots there and all that. And when he died, he was like, he had just had a loincloth on. Who knows? Who knows? Might be an oversight. Heart of Darkness. More extended life bar. Thank you. And another Heart of Darkness. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna use one of the Heart of Darknesses here because I'm gonna be needing one of them anyway. And as you can see, when you use them like this, it gives you more health than if you use them automatically at the moment of death. You get like maybe half of what you would get normally from them, but at least they're a very good safety net. Yeah, I'm not gonna save here. I'm pretty confident about facing Malik because it's again something pretty simple. You just have to use the protective shield against his projectiles, and you just need to swipe at him with your sword enough that he crumbles a few times, and then he's gonna start doing this huge attack that's like clearly something that would wipe you out if it hits you, and that's the moment when you need to bail out. And at that point, a room with a teleporter is gonna appear, and you can bail out from there because yeah, you can't defeat Malik. Malik is basically like he's pretty much undefeatable. Well, not entirely, but there he is. I might be wasting my... There, he crumbles one time. Now he starts to... Crumbles. Second time. Let's do this. That's the third time. I think he's gonna run to the... Yeah, he runs to the north, and now he does this. Yeah, there's no way I'm able to face him with... Escape! Run away! Run away! So basically, that's how easy Malik was in this kind of narrative kind of sense, because that just existed to just say that, yeah, you can face him, but it's only to show you that you can't beat the guy. And now I get this weapon, the axes, Havoc and Malice.
Havoc and Malice. Their presence in my hands keeps me from employing magic. Yet rest assured, they do little to hamper my relish for slaughter.
Yeah. Really don't like these axes because, like he said, when you're equipped with them, they take up both your hands, and so you can't cast spells while you're wearing the axes. And just like with the mace where it does the twirl, these also have their own specific little special move they do, which I find much more tedious and cumbersome than pleasing. Kane basically starts to twirl like a tornado, just swinging the axes, and he does it for a set amount of time, and you can't stop it in the middle of it. And he's just gonna go like a lawnmower, just, and it's very unpleasing because it's so hard to. He basically becomes very uncontrollable when he does that, and losing control is not fun in a game like this where you're trying to position yourself every time.
Twould seem Malik's destiny with my blade was postponed. Perhaps Ariel could offer further guidance.
So yeah, let's do this. Now we have this location. Scouted. We can fast travel back here, and let's just travel as the flock of bats back to the pillars of Nosgoth. See what Ariel has to say. Please help me, mentor.
Ah, the Lord returns empty-handed. Does the Seraphim elude you? Very well. Go east of Malik's Bastion. The Oracle shall give you aid.
Oracle? Yeah. Well, now I think I'm gonna go and grab the mace and just go... Oops. Well, I'll just keep the bone armor on because I like it and it's the latest thing. But yeah, I'm gonna go and just feed a little from regular mortals that are just walking about these parts. And I'm gonna just feed and get my energy up. And once that's done, I'm gonna fast travel back because the location where I basically where I marked the beacon for fast travel, yeah, that's the path leads east to the mountain range where the Oracle's sanctuary is, and that's gonna be another dungeon equivalent to like those boss dungeons. Malik's Bastion was a lot shorter than I remembered it. Like, I remember the dungeon being a lot longer and like a lot harsher. Well, I remember it being harsher because of it being longer, but it turns out it didn't need to be very long to be harsh because it wasn't giving out blood very easily. There we go. And because this is not like one of those set locations, this is just a beacon, there's not going to be a neat animation to go along with it. But yeah, there's a tree. I'm going to need to equip myself with the axes to take it down. And this is going to be like one of those kind of tedious things where I'm constantly going to be going and arming myself with the axes and taking them back off. Because, you know, they're neat and all, but if you just kind of swing with them loosely, you can do basically like that. But it's something where you have to like have a certain rhythm to the button, because if you just tap it rapidly like you would with any other weapon, he does this. There. And that's no fun. it looks like fun, but it's no fun. You can't cast spells, and you can't end that twirling prematurely, and you move slowly when you're doing it, and you wind up killing people you would want to feed off of and things like that. But yeah, I ran out of coffee again, so I'm gonna need to go and do a refill, and you guys can stick around and watch cartoons. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good spot to pause that again. Memories. Yeah, this is all of a sudden very nostalgia driven. What's going on? I guess my controller just kind of went out for a second, but gave me like a minor heart attack. But yeah, let's see, like, yeah, just mowing. I mean, just look at that. Like, there's 3 guys throwing knives, and if I'm just like twirling, I have like very little room to actually like maneuver in any kind of way, and that sucks.
Spiked mace.
I'll just take this. I'm gonna just slice him good. Let's see. I have a very little recollection of what's ahead before the. Oh, I see. There's basically nothing ahead of the dungeon, because if I remember correctly, there's no way for me to pass this lake because I don't have the mist form yet. I mean, I guess I could maybe leap I might be able to leap it in wolf form, but the moment I get to that precipice there, that kind of elevation, he's going to see the cave of the Oracle in the distance, and I can fast travel there as a bat. But, let's see. Termagant Forest. Yeah. After the,
High upon the face of these cliffs, hidden amongst the complex network of caves, the underground sanctity of the wise Oracle of Nosgoth lay sleeping. Perhaps it was time to brave the winds and seek out this Oracle from the vantage point of the heavens.
yes. Lens flare. Somebody using a mirror or something out there? Yeah, let's...
Oh, little vampire, the game grows interesting. But with so many pawns, can you find the true player?
This seems like such a... you're daring me to do something, but this is one of those things where I think... this is a place where I definitely have no problem getting to once I have the mist form. And I don't think I've ever gone here in the wolf form, and I don't want to, basically. Just, I don't want to deal with the aggravation of missing one of the platforms and just being in the water, just like steam rising off of me, just losing all of my health and stuff. Even though, no, I don't know. I'm gonna take this route. I'm gonna go to the Oracle's dungeon and go there later, because if I wind up going there and then it turns out that the dungeons that are beyond that lake are dungeons where I would need powers that I would get from the Oracle dungeon, then I would have to turn back and again, traverse. Colon of the mountain. Captain Kirk is climbing the mountain. Why is he climbing the mountain? To hug the mountain. To envelop that mountain. To hug the mountain. That mountain. That mountain. The entrance looked a lot bigger when you saw it in the distance with the lens flare. It was like this giant cave, but now it was like this hidden wind tunnel kind of thing. But no matter, let's just grab the energy bolt. But yeah, the thing I was talking earlier, I wound up just getting preoccupied with the game. And, oh shit. No. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna have the shurikens, and after this dungeon, I'm gonna do the whole shuriken thing, basically the farming thing. That's basically gonna be, I think, today's like gaming session is gonna be done after I'm done with this dungeon, and I'm gonna leave the next section, which is gonna be the Termagant Forest stuff. To the next play session, but depending, oh get fucked. Depending on the time it takes, I'll do the farming either today or at the start of the next. Yeah, there's all sorts of like pillars of like obsidian or something like that I can break down with the mace here, and there's goodies inside. But yeah, the thing I was talking about with the D&D and all these kind of tastes and whatnot, the multifaceted nature of D&D is one that is good to basically recognize, because if you've ever played with just one gaming group, you're most likely very familiar with everybody's tastes and whatnot. If they're your friends or family members or something, you're most likely familiar with the sort of entertainment they like, the sort of movies they like, the sort of comic books and video games and things like that they're into. So it's very easy to imagine, like, hey, I know that my friends are really into, like, let's say they're really into anime, and you've always run games with sensibilities that anime fans would appreciate and find cool and all that, and interesting and whatnot. Oh shit. And if that's the sort of stuff you're also really interested in, it's a great idea to prioritize that, because like I said before, it's good to keep in mind your own enjoyment and not to prioritize other people's stuff too far ahead of your own, so that you don't wind up burning out, because let's say, for example, that you wind up, you're really into, like, anime might be too broad of a category, but let's just say that you're into like very comedic tone games, and you're really not into horror games or gory games or something, and then you wind up running D&D for a group of players who are all really into, like, they besides D&D, their other favorite RPG is like Call of Cthulhu or something like that, and they want something where it's all about investigation and all about like these very tense and dread-filled situations, and all this build-up and all this kind of like ill-defined mysticism and horrible realizations about the cosmos and whatnot. And if they're into that, and you figure that, oh well, I should try and run something like that, that's all well and good. But if that's not what you're into, and what you enjoy running is the more comedic kind of stuff, that's something where it's good to recognize that if those players then are not very satisfied and very pleased with the campaign, because what they want is something that's more like what they're into, and that's not something you're into when it comes to running games, there might be an impasse to where your tastes just don't align. Oftentimes people have very multifaceted kind of tastes, just like I mentioned with the comparison to like holding movie nights. Like, I love a ton of different kinds of like movies and stuff. Like, you can show me, I'm one of those people who easily finds entertaining qualities about a whole bunch of different genres and all that, and I tend to really appreciate those kind of differences. I don't mean to like put myself on a pedestal or anything, because there's nothing wrong with having specific tastes and being aware of those tastes that you have. That's actually a really good thing to think about, because somebody might have like role played their entire life, but they've never really articulated to themselves what it is they like about RPGs and why. Because that's a good thing to learn how to articulate to others when you're like playing in different groups and whatnot. Because if you have a group where you're into running comedic toned games, and they're into playing horror games, and you're not really into playing that, that's a very good thing to be able to express when you first get together and talk about the sort of games you're looking to play, because it's always very kind of frustrating when you're playing a game and it's just not doing it for you, and you can't really express why, and if you're somebody who hasn't ran games or played in groups that have different tastes, you might not be entirely sure what's wrong. Like, why aren't my players behaving the way I expect them to behave, or something like that. And it might be the other way around. If somebody's like trying their damnedest to create a horror setting, and the players are just, aiming for a comedy with everything they're doing, it might be really infuriating. Like, I put all this effort into this very serious thing, and the players are just making a mockery out of it. They're not making a mockery out of it. They just get their kicks from the comedy stuff, and that's all good. It's just that oftentimes frustrations just tend to flare up when there's like miscommunications and misunderstandings of like what your expectations are. I'm sure there's a lot of quotes out there about like goddamn vape Victus. But I'm sure there's a lot of like some smart quotes out there in the world about like unmet expectations. I'm sure there's a lot of things about life in general where unreasonable, unrealistic expectations lead to disappointment, and the thing that people ought to have been taught from the beginning is to be able to articulate to themselves like what is it that they're looking for in life, or like if they're going for a career or for a family or anything of that sort. What sort of expectations are realistic and what sort of expectations are oh shit. Oh, I've already pressed this button. Come on. Well, there's a hint. There's enemies that I've already killed, let's see if there's multiple directions I could go. Yeah, this is one of those maze-like places. But, shit, for fuck's sake. But at the same time, this place is not as brutal. This is one of those locations that is more about just this place being vast and large, and not so much about being harsh. Because I'm constantly like, I keep having pretty high amount of blood and everything. I'm just wondering, like, I feel like that door is closed. I need to open it somehow. It's always like I need to go to some location to find a button. And I'm guessing like the hint is going to be like, if you find a place where there's enemies that you haven't killed yet, that's where you need to be. See, that one crystal is glowing. And it whipped right on my backside. And I always have this kind of wondering if it's glowing, is it trying to tell me that there's something in there that oh, for fuck's sake, he's a slow version of... It's just glowing, just to glow. Okay. Well, in that case, there's no other place to go other than north from here, and there's just that there, but I can't for the life of me. Like, come on. There's a button. I've pushed the button. But yeah, with the whole expectations thing, I think, especially if you're not playing with your friends, Session 0 is really, oh my god. And now I've run out of mana, basically. Jesus. I have 17 flays.
Iron sword.
I guess this is one way of draining resources once again. Just having me run around in circles. That's like, oh. Oh my god. Well, I'll just use this time basically to just chat about D&D, I guess. See, the thing is with those kind of expectations that a lot of things would be very much like well, you would avoid a lot of headaches by basically communicating with each other. They always say that communication is the key to just about every kind of social interaction with people, and social relationship, whether it's, you know, an actual like relationships, friendships, family relationships, or relationships between players and dungeon masters, you know, around the table. That through communication, when you have like a game, like let's say you have Dungeons and Dragons, which is purposefully made to be something where you could play almost any kind of game in that setting. Of course, there's themes like it being a very much like a power fantasy. The player characters are expected to be exotic and powerful and very like you know, there's a lot of character races and species and things like that where they're very like colorful and high fantasy kind of things. But a dungeon master could always say that we're playing D&D, but there's a restriction. Everybody's going to be a human. You can take any kind of racial kind of bonus from any kind of race option, but everybody's going to be a human, and it's going to be a low fantasy setting and all this and that. Everybody's going to be Vikings, and we're going to be in in this island setting or something like that. You could do something like that with D&D, and then on top of that, you could, like on the other side, you could say that okay, we're going to play D&D, and it's going to be set in a very like high technology kind of place where there's airships, there's teleportation devices, jetpacks, and guns and things like that. And as long as you communicate that well, people's expectations are gonna be like basically met, and there's not gonna be like confusion and frustration with that. And the same thing comes with a lot of different, much more subtle things, or things that people struggle to articulate and express. And this is something that players and dungeon masters should kind of give some thought to. It's something that usually comes through experience, and especially through the kind of experience that you get from playing in different groups with different people who have different sensibilities. Because it's a good idea to try out kind of different things. I talked earlier about in the earlier video, I talked about the differences between the early editions of D&D and the modern day 5th edition, how its tone has basically shifted from a survival game more to just like this superhero action thing. And those are the sort of tones where if you just say to your players, I'm going to run some D&D for you guys, and somebody makes a character with an elaborate story, and they have like these aspirations in their head that, oh, like I have this like kidnapped brother or something, and once the time comes that I'm gonna meet my brother when I get to save him, or if I find out that he's dead or something, I'm gonna have like this big like personal character drama moment and all these kind of different things. If they find out that the game that the Dungeon Master is going to be running is going to be super lethal, and during the first session your character dies, and all your aspirations about those kind of dramatic moments die with him, it's easy to just feel like confused, it's easy to feel like slighted, it's easy to feel like this is bullshit, this is not what I wanted, especially if the sort of D&D you're used to from a previous group of friends or something was the kind of D&D where everyone was in kind of mutual understanding that what everybody's aiming for is these kind of personal stories and these character drama moments and these kind of big arcing like things, these dramatic stories that have satisfying conclusions, not automatically positive conclusions, but satisfying conclusions that they don't just aren't just left hanging the way they are usually when a player character dies. That's something I often tell to my players, where like I don't want to make them think that they have plot armor, but just know that if your character dies, I'm going to be saddened by it. I'm gonna be bummed by it. I don't want to give your character basically a free go every time they do something that's like rash or like high risk or something like that, where it's like there's no repercussions for your actions, you know, and stuff like that. But I just want them to know that I've built most of this campaign's story beats and these kind of plot anchor points and all that around their character backstories. So if their character dies, a lot of the story elements are going to be muddied and kind of watered down, because if a new character enters the fray, they're not so attached to those anchor points, and they need to be attached to them. I need to come up with new ways to make them care about the stuff that was created specifically for the original characters to care about, you know? And, you know, that's like my style, because I love those kind of character drama moments and stuff. But if you're coming into a group where you have a new dungeon master, you can't really expect them to have those sensibilities without talking about it, you know, because, you know, I know that, especially online, I've seen a lot of people who are really into like random tables, and that's something that I've never been really into. I definitely understand how they help a lot of people who might maybe struggle with certain like creative things or like indecision about certain things, and I also can imagine how people just find them very enjoyable and pleasurable, you know. But that's one of those things that I've never played in a group. Whoa. Did that close the door? Yeah, it did. That was, yeah. But yeah, I've never played in a group where you have to basically roll for just about everything to make it random, but I can definitely see how it's enjoyable for others. I've also never really played in. Okay, that button is definitely in. I've definitely pushed that button, although the door right next to it is closed. Oh boy. Boy. Every door is closed apart from that one in the south. And of course it's a northern one, but oh man. Okay, let's how about this? Oh, I go here. Well, wouldn't you know it? Here I am and and there's monsters around who I haven't killed. I have no idea which button opened that door, or if that door was constantly open and I just hadn't paid attention to it. Jesus, well, at least, you know, it gave me an opportunity to just chat. But yeah, it's for me personally, one of the things that I like to ask dungeon masters during a session 0 is not only like, okay, what sort of tone are we going for, like in sense of how serious and dark is this game going to be, to where like how lighthearted is it going to be, but another thing is exactly like how lethal is the game going to be versus how non-lethal is it going to be, because it's one of those kinds of things where I don't know if you've seen a lot of, like, let's say John Woo movies or other kinds of like, whoa, okay, I'm already out of mana again. Like, I'm kind of too slap happy with the energy bolts right now, but I don't want to get in close combat if I can help it. Even though those guys aren't that rough, but it's the bear-looking creatures have such long reach, and the blubbery ones are shooting projectiles. So, you know, I don't mind sitting around for a moment and waiting it for my magic to refill. But yeah, it's what was I talking about? Yeah, if you, like I mentioned in the last video, my love for Hong Kong Kung Fu movies, those movies aren't ones where characters act in the most like realistic or intelligent way. Rather, it's very much about this kind of emotional, here's a bad guy and here's a good guy. The good guy really wants to kick the bad guy's ass, and the viewer wants to see it happen, because the whole pull of those movies is those cool action scenes and seeing like intense action and all that. And oftentimes those action movies entail a lot of stunts and a lot of things you want to do that are just there to look cool. When you have a martial artist who shows the director like, hey, I can do this kind of move, I can like run up to a wall and do a backflip off of it, or I can like do a split upwards against a wall, or I can like if somebody has me in a front face lock, or like my head underneath their arm like a guillotine, I can kick my leg back like a scorpion's tail and kick them in the head like Cynthia Rothrock, and the directors are like, cool, I'm gonna set up scenes where you get to do those things and show them off, because everybody's gonna think they're cool. If that's your preference, if you know that you look at your character's abilities and you're like, oh, cool, this is so sweet, I can't wait to use this ability in a cool way, like, I can't wait to kick somebody with a chair towards somebody to have them trip over it, I can't wait to, like, toss somebody from the like the upper balcony of a saloon downstairs, or can't wait to jump off one of those balconies onto a chandelier and swing to the other side of the room, or grab a vine like Tarzan and like let go and do a drop kick on somebody. And you might have a dungeon master who is also into that stuff. Usually those games aren't very lethal, usually because they're very like cinematic, and people like to use the term cinematic often to describe exactly that. Like, if you're wondering about, should I jump from this helicopter to the other helicopter, you have to kind of evaluate sometimes the dungeon master. Is the dungeon master the sort of person who has the sort of preferences and styles to where when I recommend that, they're like, yeah, cool, go ahead and rig a roll? Or are they the ones that roll their eyes and are like, are you sure that's smart? Okay, well, do a roll, and if you fail, you're gonna like plummet to your death. And that was like, it's not gonna be depicted as something cool to do, like a Jackie Chan or something like that would do, but instead it's gonna be like realistic, like that was unintelligent to do, that was highly like, the risk-reward ratio was like right off the charts, and it wasn't a very clever thing to do. And the way I frame this might make it sound like one is above the other, like having a cinematic, non-lethal kind of cool, badass kind of game tone is preferable to having more realistic and lethal kind of thing. And that's definitely not true. It might sound like that because that's my personal preference. There's nothing wrong with wanting to run a more realistic game, but that's something that you really ought to talk with your dungeon master and fellow players about during session 0, because you don't want to get excited about an idea like that and be basically shut down and looked upon as like a fool for doing something so unintelligent or so like selfish and self-centered, to where you're basically going to have your character killed, and now the rest of the party are going to be struggling to save their lives when their party has one less, operative on it, whatever the setting is. But equally, if somebody is of that mindset to wanting to be more strategic and all that, and then they enter a game where somebody is being really like cinematic, and they like describe like a huge sea of goons all with automatic assault rifles in their hands, and being like coming out of like multiple vans and being all like, and then that player is like, okay, there's no way I can like defeat those guys by myself. How about we just abort mission and just return back to base and kind of like let's reevaluate the situation and all that. And then they do that, and the dungeon master is like, what the hell? Now the whole adventure is kind of like on hold, and it's only because they imagined that, of course, the player character is gonna go there like in John Woo movies, just kind of like you're gonna have like a flock of like what are those, the white birds, just kind of as you slow-mo kind of like come from behind, cover and all that. If that's what they were expecting and you're taking a realistic route, then it's going to be unpleasant for everybody involved again. But they're only doing what's smart. And, it's not always about doing what's smart, but then again, it's not always doing what's cool and awesome and all that. So, communication. And that's a lot of energy bolts for one enemy. But yeah, another thing I like to bring up in session 0s that I haven't seen a lot of people mention in a lot of YouTube videos or forum posts or anything like that, is how cynical is the game going to be. And this is something I've asked dungeon masters before, and sadly I've often gotten I've gotten these reactions like like what are you talking about, kind of thing. And what I basically mean is that Dungeons and Dragons, for example, the kind of current iteration, is very much like a heroic fantasy kind of setting. Even though it says, like in the book, that you can run it in multiple different kinds of ways. It can be high fantasy, low fantasy. It can be, heroic fantasy, or it can be like this sword and sorcery and stuff like that. But a lot of times people pay attention to the more superficial aspects of those descriptions and those kinds of genres and styles, but one of the things that kind of sometimes gets lost in translation is the tone of the cynicism. And what I mean with that is basically like in sword and sorcery games, oftentimes where they're very much like Conan the Barbarian style or something like that. The thing is that the players are usually these ruthless characters who are very motivated by the prospects of money. You tell him, Kane. You tell him. Yeah, took like 800 victors. Shouts. Well, that's my fault for using the mace against him, but yeah, meaning basically that if you're playing a sword and sorcery style campaign, it's highly likely that the players won't be motivated to do adventuring out of altruism, out of helping their fellow man in need, out of being basically superheroes. And when you look at heroic fantasy, it doesn't have to be specifically, like I said, superheroes invoking kind of a style of 5th edition D&D. It doesn't have to be superheroes. There's a whole bunch of different kinds of heroic fantasies out there, but I mean that in a lot of games, the expectation is that the player characters are good guys who do good deeds out of the goodness of it, Wait. Oh. I can't remember what you do, so I just kill you. It ran right to us. It's coming right at us. Well, he basically just came and just sat in front of me. Kind of feels bad. I'm kind of like a stray dog or something, just gonna, like, who's a good boy? Who's a good boy? Oh, that's a horrible image. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. Thankfully, stray dogs don't have horns like that of demons. But yeah, if you're used to games where you're playing good guys who do good deeds out of the goodness of it and out of being like a hero and stuff, it doesn't matter if there's added motivations having to do with money and that sort of thing. Oh no. Oh, now it's clear. He has basically like stretchy arms, kind of like Carnage or something from Spider-Man. Like he's just swiping away with those stretchy arms. I don't want to get involved with that, so projectiles it is. But yeah, I mean that I've played in games where I've come into the game expecting that we're all gonna be heroes and good guys and characters like that, and then when the game starts, everybody's basically looking for angles to exploit. You know, they're looking to exploit NPCs, and they're looking to exploit player characters, and there's always the line of like, okay, when am I talking about a genre and when am I just talking about toxic behavior? Because in this example, there was basically like a moment where the game started. I came into a game where it was in the middle of the campaign, and the characters were just about to enter a ferry, and the ferryman demanded a certain price, and I started with my starting gear that didn't include that much money, and one of the players immediately said that he'd be willing to pay my transport if I would owe him the first magic item I discover for myself. And I was immediately like, fuck you. Well, I didn't say that, but I was immediately like, fuck this game. And after playing for one session, I was like seeing behavior like that all throughout. I basically like knew that, oh, okay, these people get their kicks way differently than I do. Basically, like if you play video game role-playing games, it's very easy to be very nasty towards NPCs. It's often just fun. And when you're on a tabletop RPG, it's often also fun, but then also people kind of extend that sometimes to acting towards fellow players the way they would to NPCs, and then it starts to become that kind of easily toxic, kind of like you're almost bullying someone, or you're kind of like just being nasty. And oh, save spot? Am I already like far along in the dungeon? But yeah, there's been moments like that, and there's been moments where it's basically like, okay, there's a healer in your party, but that healer will only heal you if you pay him money. That kind of like a player to another player, like, I'm the party's only healer. Oh, you got yourself injured? I'll heal you, but you're gonna have to pay me. But in that game, there was also the rationale that healing ate up resources that they would then have to gather themselves. So they wanted it to be like a thing where you slap somebody on the fingers for being careless and getting themselves injured. But that's again one of those things where your character winds up looking around the group like, why am I hanging around with these despicable fucks? It's oftentimes, I don't know, that was kind of a tangent, but because that was like, I think for me, those were examples of kind of toxic behavior, not automatically like, oh, you're a bad person for doing that, but people often are like basically conditioned that, okay, this is how role-playing games are played, or they just prefer, they like it, that it's like that. And there's really nothing wrong with it, and that's why the communication is so important during those session zeros and whatnot. If you know that's the sort of game you're going in for, then there's nothing wrong with just indulging in it and being, good with it and all that. But if it's like, if you're expecting that, of course us players are going to be good guys doing good, and that's going to tie us together, because of course we're going to do the right thing. Of course we're going to go rescue the blacksmith's daughter from the goblins, or whatever cliche. But if it turns into this kind of like, well, how much are you going to pay us? How much is your daughter's life worth to you? It's like, well, I guess I could sell my smithy and, use that money to pay you. You better. All of a sudden you sound like you're a couple of mobsters or something like that. And, that's the point about the cynicism of the setting where I feel like it's a good idea to really go through with that. And with horror as well, I think there's different kinds of things people mean when they talk about horror, because there are a lot of games that really create that horror tone by having the player characters be very vulnerable, very like naked and afraid and in the dark and kind of like, oh, what's behind that door? I don't dare go and check. Oh, somebody has to go check. Oh, let's draw straws or something. Oh no, I can't take the pressure. You know, stuff like that. That there are games that really create that atmosphere. And then there are games where their version of horror is basically just how grim and how grotesque we can make the setting. And I think that's the problem with trying to make D&D into horror, especially like 5th edition, I mean, when it's like a superhero setting. How do you make a superhero setting feel like horror when the characters are so powerful? And that was what I talked about in the earlier video about the kind of shifts in tone with the additions. But a lot of times the answer that they come up with stuff like, let's say, Ravenloft, for example, you're not really that often in peril. There's a clear like ranking in the book for dungeon masters to see that, okay, this area is meant for players who are about this level, so that it's not like overbearingly too deadly or something like that. But the main horror of that game is basically just going around different locations and just seeing this hell on earth style misery. Just this kind of like, anybody you come across has been like living in this hellish existence where they see death and corpses and undead everywhere they turn. There's no hope. There's no like there's nothing to like. It's like this very depressing kind of setting, and especially with Ravenloft, I think there's so much like violence towards children in that setting, because of course it's like you don't even need to be a heroic character to feel something, you know, when it's like, oh, these creatures here eat babies, like yeah, let's do something about that, you know, shall we, you know, or anything like that. It's constantly like just child abuse stuff everywhere. And I feel like, especially my experience with Ravenloft, the thing has been that the players rarely feel like the sort of horror tension of biting your fingernails and being all scared to look into the attic of what's actually in there. Oh God, oh man. But instead it's just this kind of, you enter the attic and you see that there's like a flayed human with their guts hanging out, and it's gross and it's rotting. There's bugs and maggots crawling all over their entrails, and we go and look at the entrails. Well, you notice that the character, the flayed human being, was actually a pregnant woman, and there's like a fetus like oozing out of her entrails, and it's also rotten. Oh no, that's horrible. We'll investigate further. Well, you'll notice that the fetus is malformed. Its face opens up like a flower petal, and it's got like claws and teeth and fangs, and it has 4 eyes and all this sort of, oh no, we investigate further. Oh well, you'll discover that when you open its cranium and there on the surface of its brain there's a scar tissue in the shape of a pentagram. Oh no, we'll investigate further. Oh well, and so on it goes. It's just, how icky, how gross, how horrible, how upsetting can you make it? I don't feel like that's horror, but that's definitely something you should communicate to your players, like, oh, this is the sort of game we're going for. Because if they're looking at something like, let's say they're looking at the Disney animated Adventures of Robin Hood, and they're like, hey, D&D is kind of like this, right? And then you give them that, they're gonna be like, oh shit, this whole D&D thing, it's nothing like what I expected, and let's not go into D&D again. Ooh. Museum of sorts.
Hidden amidst the many obscure artifacts in that museum, I discovered an ancient chronicle. This passage caught my eye. It was during these dark times, infested with the plague of the undead, that the Circle brought the Seraphim to existence. Trained to be devoutly loyal to the Circle and the perfect exterminators of the undead scourge, they were led to many victories by the righteous paladin, Malek. They cleansed the vampires with fire and released their souls to more blessed realms. There is no wrath as terrible as that of the righteous. I'd read enough. At once, disgusted and intrigued, I placed the book back down in that museum.
Good shit. Good shit.
A guillotine, its blade still wet with blood.
That'll become obvious later on. You might not remember it when the time comes, but
The shield was newly crafted. Its metal shone brightly in the firelight. The crest I did not recognize. I recognize this crest from my youth. It is the sigil of the mighty lion of Willendorf, blood-stained and rusted upon this battered shield.
yes. Willendorf.
Odd. This armor resembled that of the ward and his minions, yet the steel seemed newly fashioned and untarnished by time.
No, I looked at everything else. Now it's time to go here where most likely the oracle is. But pay attention to this. His symbol. His symbol looks very much like that of an hourglass. Where have we seen an hourglass symbol before? And Malek's armor, but in pristine condition? 2 shields, clearly from different eras, but of the same sort of make. A shattered mirror? Interesting.
Unknown now, seeking wisdom. Death has taught you well.
Enough philosophy. I seek answers.
Answers indeed. I have them all if you have the questions. And what are the questions for these answers? King Atmar, the only hope to defeat the legions of the Nemesis. King Atmar, paralyzed by his princess's malaise. King Atmar, the useless. Pray, good sir, what are the questions?
A pox upon your tricks and babble, old man. Answer me this. Who is Malek, and how can I defeat him?
All in time, Scylla. Yes, time. Unless you master it, it will master you. And now it's time for your answer. Malek, defender of the Nine, and last of the Seraphim sorcerer priests. His vanity led to the slaughter of the Circle at the hands of the vampire Horror. For his failing, his spirit was fused to a hellish set of magical armor. He has allowed no member of the Circle to fall since.
What of this Vorador?
Follow the glow of the Ignis Fatuus to the Termagant Forest.
Ignis Fatuus.
The Ignis Fatuus lights the path to hell, noble. Your path. Time came. Next time.
There's nothing else in this room. Let's look at the murals for a bit. There's like winged, angelic-looking beings holding swords. Can't make out the very fine details of that, but that's again something that we'll get into more in the sequels. Let me tell you, there's so much stuff about that guy in the sequels. He's, I think, like, besides Cain and Raziel in the sequels, that he's the third most important character in the entire story.
Through this magic I can stop my enemies in their tracks. Frozen in time, they can do nothing to hinder their own doom. Sometimes I draw out their fate, for the added fear sweetens their blood.
I can't remember using that spell a whole lot. Oh, okay, I'm here. Alright, well, this is basically a way out. Might be that I get the mist form during this little escapade. Though this is, again, a point where I could just fly off as a bat, but I think, unless I run into a save spot or something right there, I'm gonna keep going. Oh no, oh no. Yeah, I'm not, I don't think I'm gonna be facing a lot of mortals in these caves. Just an expectation, I guess, but yeah, the mace isn't the choice here. Though I guess, you know, let's try out the axes. He's right there, the energy ball is at my mercy. If I can reach him beyond these spikes, and I just kind of like twirl, maybe I can make like mincemeat out of it. No. Hate that shit. Okay, let's see. Okay, well, there's a save spot. I think I'm gonna save there. I've already gone through, oh, no! Okay. See, this is the thing. I'm using the axes. I have to go and change my weapon so that I can cast spells and stuff. And again, that's a very quick enemy that can strike me without me being able to basically get into close quarters. Okay, let's just use the shurikens on him. Oh, thankfully it only took one. Well, yeah, let's... Ooze. Okay. Let's see. It's time for another puzzle. Whoop. Ah, it takes only one even when they're like fully unharmed. Oh, this is gonna be a nuisance. Yeah, I think I'm gonna save here, and next time I think I'm going to, well, I'm gonna start by basically navigating through these caves and stuff, whatever is there, and after I'm done with that, I'm gonna go and do the whole rinse and repeat thing, getting the shurikens from the Spirit Forge, because I'm definitely not going to the swamps, the Termagant Forest, without those shurikens, because in the swamp I get one of my favorite weapons besides the mace, which is a flame sword. It's basically a very boosted version of the regular sword, but the downside is that when your targets burn to death when you slice them, you can't feed off of them anymore, so that's a downside. But it's really neat to swing your sword like the 4 times and it being really powerful. And of course I have because of this game, one of the things I really love, this kind of generic or like cliche magic item, I love flame swords, like sword blades that are just burning with just like, you know, it's just something like a roaring flames, just awesome. But the swamp is filled with enemies that cause me trouble, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to get the mist form before I go there, because the swamps are going to be filled with water places. But yeah, like in the cutscene you saw basically the assassin vampire from the beginning cutscene, Vorador. He is an ancient vampire who resides in a mansion in the middle of the swamp, basically hidden away from the world, hidden away from the Sarafan, the paladins who were doing this purge, this crusade of vampires and all that, and I need to go to him in order to ask for help in defeating Malik. It's like, I can't defeat Malik, so I need to go to an oracle. The oracle can't help me in any other way other than like direct me to someone who might be able to help. But thankfully, Vorador is the one who can help, and he's an awesome character, and he's also somebody who's important to the grand scheme of everything in the story. So yeah, that's where we're gonna go next time, and I'll see you then, and I'll just put you to sleep now.